Hello everyone, my name is Matthew here with Crescent. We're taking a look at a 1995-1996 Fleer Ultra Scoring Kings insert Hot Packs Michael Jordan card. And we recently did another video just like this very recently. But we want to do it again because I want to get it right. Love this card, want to make sure we get the right scores on it. So the recent one that we did, I have it here in a Zion slab, a custom label. Giving the centering a 9.5, the edges an 8, corner 7.5, and surface 8.5. So this is what we currently have up on the eBay store. I think it's for like $150 right now. Kind of see a bit of the surface. You can see a bit of the quality of the card. Then we're going to take a look at the one we just got in. So you can kind of see some corner, some wear on the edges, wear a little bit on that corner. And 8.5, if I'm going to be honest, is more on my lenient side. So what I'm really excited about is Grok AI with Twitter/X getting more precise and a little more, stringent, a little less forgiving. So this time around, this card, this grade will also be less forgiving. Now, I already ran it through. Usually I do a blind scoring, but it was actually great that I went through Grok's system first because their scores they're usually very forgiving. This time around, Grok, same card, I believe it gave like an 8.5 last time. This time it's giving like in between a 7 and an 8. So that is a little more, It really knocked down the corners. Critical. It's being more critical. That's great. Kind of helping train the AI tool, Grok on Twitter, helping train it to basically be as precise as possible. Now, when I think about it, is this a 7? No, it's not. And really an 8.5 on that might be a lot. Both these cards feel like 8s to me. 8s would be like 20% of the card is, somewhat damaged. And even that feels kind of substantial. 20% of the card is damaged. And I consider 15%, maybe even 10% of this card. The edges is probably like one of the biggest ones. You can kind of see a little bit right there. But if I'm being honest with you, like the way that these other grading companies work, they are extremely critical, not forgiving at all. And they're kind of saying like, if you give a 7 on a card, 30% of the card should be damaged. Like, if a 0 is the card is almost like been burnt and it's been in fire, there's been ink spilled all over it. It's, not at all the same kind of what came out of the manufacturer. If the manufacturer had a huge issue with it, then you could mark it extremely low. But these two cards, even though they are over 30 years old, I have a tough time being that critical and saying X amount percentage is decreased or devalued. So if I'm being honest with everybody, I feel like both these cards are closer to 8s, and they have similar issues on both of them. But, I did do an 8.5 on that last one. The centering was kind of a saving grace for that card. He got like a 9.5 on the centering. And this card probably going to get a similar score on the centering. Now, the Grok system saying the corners are significantly damaged. I did take close-up photos. I put that into the Grok system. I don't know if I totally agree with the 7 score on the corners of this. I did another test with Grok, and it's good that I'm doing more tests with it. But I kind of like took a corner and I like basically peeled it back. So it was like 2 pieces of the card was like flimsy. It gave that a 6.7, and I'm like, not consistent yet. Grok AI tool. So it's got to get better. If I'm going to take a corner and basically peel back half of the card and it's like really exposed almost the inside part of it, and it gives that a 6.7, that is a 70%. If there's 4 corners and I do that to one of the corners, significantly damaging it, then yes, that does warrant that. Do these corners have a 6.7 come into them in my grade? No, they don't. It's probably like an 8.5. And we'll take a look at the back. And we'll just go ahead and do the corners right now since I'm already a little on one. So this is probably the corner with the most, you could say, wear on it. And that corner right there, if it's out of 100, I'm scoring out of 100, that is a 7 or an 8 corner. So that's one of the 4 corners, and technically there's 8 if you want to count all of them front and back. So, if this gets a 7 or an 8, this corner, and let's all just be honest, like that corner is pristine. That's sharp. That is not heavy damage. There's not heavy wear on that. That's a 9. And then I'm going to average out the scores together, and I don't know why Grok wouldn't also do that. But, a little bit more wear on that. So 8.5. So we have like a 7 or an 8. Might as well say 7.5, 8.5, another 8.5. The 9 and the 8, you can kind of almost even those out. So basically we're sitting at an 8 to 8.5 for corners. And yeah, the edges on this, the corners on this isn't perfect, and we're marking that down. But if you think about the edges as a whole, like the amount of millimeters that go into just one edge, and there's 4, that is a very limited amount of edge wear. So I'm going to put the Grok scores up there on the Crescent Vale article. Back to corners. This corner is probably an 8. This one we could say 7.5. This corner somewhere we'll say 8. This corner 8. So for our corners, I think an 8 average is about right. And again, I said these cards feel like 8s. But I'm going to take into account the entire card. So we have a surface, we have edges we're going to take a look at, and centering. Then we'll take a look at the total, and I'll be surprised if this card doesn't get an 8, just like that. And feel free to disagree in the comments. I did have somebody disagree, I think, on one of the 2 Hot Packs Jordan, saying there's no way a grading company would give that card that grade. I mean, they might be right, but the grading companies are also, why are they so stringent? Why are they holding the highest grades to only a few? Is that ethical and logical? I don't think so. I'm going to disagree. But I think there is a large market of people that want to buy a card. So, disclaimer, these cards are sold as raw. They are considered ungraded. I have done 30 of them now. I don't know at what point I become a professional grader. Is it 100, 1,000? How many cards do I have to grade before I'm considered professional? I want people to respond to that comment. But yeah, we're taking a look at the corners now. We're going to take a look at the edges. Disclaimer again, these cards are not guaranteed to cross over to other grading companies. Quick shout out to Teapot, Market Movers. He sent a card in 9 times, got 9 different grades from a 6 to a 9. So they're all subjective. This is all subjective. Somebody actually, I think Tyler with another YouTube channel said, I think it was him or Teapot, said that grading is magical. It's magic. Taking all of these manufacturing or just errors and possibly imperfections that happen over time, and trying to score that, trying to put that into a quantifiable number. And I can't sit here and say I'm perfect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cross-reference as many cards as possible by other grading companies. I will do that. I will pump it through AI. And I will call out any kind of discrepancies that I see. But at the same time, is this magic? No, I think magic is like making people disappear right in front of your eyes with no real magic undertones. All right, so let's look at the edges. And we did see, I think there's 2 instances here. So this edge down here, I can mark that down to an 8. Clear, we don't even have to zoom in that much on it. This edge here, a little bit more, or the front side of it is a little bit better. So 9 to 9.5 on that edge on the front side. That edge there, 9, possibly 8.5. This edge here, again, that we kind of already marked down that corner. But the edge overall, probably 8.5 to 9. So on the back, yeah, we got a significant amount of just wear on this bottom edge. And if I were to try to quantify this into a number, a good portion of that is about a 6 or a 7 edge. So we'll give it a 6.5. I think that was the worst edge I saw. This edge too is pretty bad. I'll give it a 7. So the back of the card, a little bit more. 8, 6, 7, 8, and then over here, 7. 6, 7, 8, 7. So a 7 on the back for the edges. And on the front, we gave that an 8.5 and then 3 9s. So 7 on the back, on the front for edges, There's one 8.5 edge, and then there are 3 9s. You could say a 9, 7, 8. 8 for the edges. I don't want to say it's becoming rudimentary or becoming second nature to me, but it is. I can tell when these cards should be graded at a certain amount. A certain amount of imperfections contain a certain grade. This would be the same thing if I was grading it. I was a TA, a teaching assistant at a college. If a student turned a paper in, and if it was a written assignment, if it was a digital assignment, no matter what the end product was, if there's so many imperfections, I'm marking off per imperfection. I'm looking at it as a whole, and I'm not going to just mark it down significantly whenever the entirety of it has a lot of great things on it. So I like to think that I am being extremely fair. And is it nonpartisan? I believe it's nonpartisan whenever you're talking about politics. We're not talking politics right now. I use these the logo on the left I like for an anchor point, and then these letters on the right. So it looks like 2.5, close to 3. Let's get this lined up. That's about 3 to the right. And I also like this shield, measuring the distance from the shield each way. So that's about 5 there on the right. And about 6 on the left. So a little heavy on the left. And I think people can see that. That's using the shield as an anchor point. We just found in between 2.5 and 3 on the letters. So let's go ahead and look at this logo as an anchor point. So 2.5 to 3 on the right, and then on the left it is a little bit more. About 3.5. So yeah, again, the centering, there is some inconsistencies, but I wouldn't say that they are significant. Probably looking at a 9 for the centering overall on this. Looking at about a 3 from bottom, the font to the edge of the card. Looks like about 2 on the, maybe 2.5, but 2.5 to 2 on the top. So a little discrepancy from top to bottom there. Similar to the front of the card, feels like 2.5, and I believe this would be 3 down here. So yeah, overall 9. I could even maybe do 8.5. We'll do 8.5 for the centering on this card. The card's leaning towards an 8. The surface, I kind of noticed something in the photo, and I'm just wanting to like take a quicker look. And you can kind of see that there, and I didn't have that on this card here. So if there's ever a inconsistency, that's why I like having multiple copies of the same card, because that surface is, there's a wear on it. You can kind of see again when we close up, a bit of wear right there on the shield. And it happens in a few places. So I will say that the surface of the card, leaning towards an 8. And that is just about as accurate as I can get. And we have 3 8s and an 8.5. To be honest, that makes the most sense to me. So yeah, 3 8s and an 8.5. That other card that we have up right now, you could say that the centering is better, and that's why I got a 9.5, and that's why I pushed it to an 8.5 instead of an 8. I originally said that I kind of felt that could have been an 8, and then I had another person comment it could go lower with other grading companies, but after looking at the surface of that card, let's see what we gave the card for the surface on this. Surface 8.5 and centering 9. So yeah, that centering, it is a little better. I don't know if I could have maybe marked I gave it this surface or centering 8.5. Yeah, that's about right. So this centering could go to a 9, and this could potentially go to an 8 if I want to be more critical. Let's look at the back of the card. Little more room top to bottom, so less inconsistencies from the top to bottom on this card. Yeah. Yeah, you can also see like from the bottom here to the top here is more consistent. So centering 9.5. Could possibly go to a 9 on that if I'm going to be a little more critical and move that down to an 8. But overall, these cards are in between 8 and 8.5. Feel free to disagree in the comments. Feel free to say, hey, you know, these grading companies are going to be more critical. And if they're going to be more critical, then we should all be more critical. But is the card deteriorated more than 20%? No, not in my opinion. Subjective. Feel free to disagree. Please continue to watch. Please continue to check back. Enjoy. Have a great day.